Alright guys, the premiere of Pokemon Horizons Mega Voltage was gas, possibly peak even. But now that that's over, where do we go from here? Well, today is covering episode 92, and not only will it give us an insight of what this saga's formula it might be, but also bringing back certain elements from the games to shake things up a bit. So without stalling any longer, let's get started. And we start off by already having a lead on one of the Pokemon affected by the Rockarium. And for this couple of minutes, we just warm up by seeing some nice interactions. You know, Liko being nervous meeting Dot after a year, Liko seeing Roy's growth during the investigation, Liko and Dot reminiscing on the terrestrial training journey. Okay, these examples are really Liko carried, but the point is that we're seeing the main trio get back to how they were before. And also, Alt is just doing side quests while stalking the main duo, but not gonna lie, bro is kinda growing on me. If you told me what I thought about him back in the two-part premiere, I probably would have told you he would either lean towards being really goated or really annoying. I'll save the rest for after the episode, but what mostly happens from here on out is a Steelix battle. That doesn't sound cool, but one thing it did have going for it was the different phases this battle had. Like for one, it's too quick, so they had to capitalize on the aura to attack at the right time. Then because Steelix canonically has an absurd defense stat, they have to capitalize on special attacks. And once they were about to beat one, they actually end up having to fight two. Again, not that cool, but from a weekly episode's perspective, it's a bit decent. But back to what I said about fighting two, this is where the A and B plots merge and when Alt gets into the mix. And yo, the second Roy and Alt lock in, it's like we're watching like a whole different show. I don't even know how to explain it. After Mega Evolving though, they didn't even need the special attack strat. They just went off raw power. And after the beatdown, we see what happens before when multiple vulnerable Pokemon are affected by the Rockarium in one area box each other. And right before Liko catches a stray, Terapagos reawakens. I'm not calling it Pagago, by the way. Not gonna lie, I expected their hibernation to last a little bit longer, but I guess it makes sense seeing as it's heavily reacting to the Rockarium. Plus, you might have even heard some people say that this was a parallel to the first premiere of the pre-time skip, so yeah. You could say that this is a sign we truly started on this new journey. After that is Alt finally coming into human contact with Liko and Roy, and you know, with Roy, it's relatively not too far from what we saw before, minus the major annoyance, but with Liko, Alt is a bit more socially awkward. A decent chunk of the community from what I saw was speculating that Alt would not be so buddy-buddy with her, and while there may be some truth to that, it mostly seems to be a case of how shy he is. But as per usual, he gets left behind, and the episode ends with Zer, Konya, and Amber, and we learn two things. One, Amithio is also having a freeze situation to where he's just gone. And two, Amber gives the pair a ZYGARDE cube to find both him and, well, ZYGARDE. This sort of answers my question back about how we don't really know much about Amithio in the last episode, which I didn't expect to happen like that, but hey, we ball. Other than that though, the episode ends. Overall, this episode was pretty decent. Like, I seriously gotta reiterate for the third time that the main thing to remember this by is primarily Steelix battle. There's technically much more notable things to take away from here, but I think for how focused that portion was, it's pretty much all you can remember. But because of those notable things like Alt meeting Liko or the whole ZYGARDE cube situation, it's worthwhile to come back to visit. In a way, you could call this a very safe episode. But anyways, remember when I said this could be an insight for what the saga's formula might be? Well, the thing is that earlier in the episode, Dot finds out there's a lot more of these Rockarium signs posted around. And based on how 2 out of the 3 episodes so far involved battling these kind of Pokemon, it's possible we might go through a Monster of the Week format. Basically running into crazy strong Pokemon with different features. There's not much to support this other than my own crazy speculation, but I'd be 50-50 on this if it does turn out true, because it could stay either really entertaining or kind of get stale. But other than my out of reach predictions, let's get to who I promised to get to later. ult. I thought he would not stand out that much in the episode, but surprisingly, he kinda carried. There's some funny moments like him treating girls like an alien species, or having a picture of him and Roy that may or may not be consented to taking. And on a side note, Sableye is kinda rising in the rankings, not just for the Pokemon in this series, but just kinda my personal tastes. I was vibing with how he was having banter with his own trainer, plus how he wants to eat Terrapagos because it canonically eats gems. I hope this is a running gag because I need that turtle to suffer. But getting back to Ul, it's confirmed that Roy keeps abandoning him because he doesn't want to tangle him in a Black Rayquaza stuff like I thought. And also a little bit because he's annoying. And it's so crazy because some hint in the opening and ending suggests that this left behind gag is a serious matter than what it's played for. Like the opening coincidentally showing Ul isolated in the shadows when the lyrics mention being alone and different, plus the ending seemingly showing him dejectedly looking down at the main trio having fun in the lower area of the ship. All these factors together has me kind of thinking they're gonna be cooking something quite crazy with Ult's character. But lastly, before we close things off, I auto cycle back to the ZYGARDE cube. I totally thought this was gonna be an anime original thing when watching this at first, but then when I was researching, I kind of forgot this item was back in the Lola games. In a way, it's pretty genius because of how Z8 is right around the corner, and this is the first time the anime gets to shine this item for how awkwardly this item came out in the games. And I know it really technically doesn't count since it always existed, like I said, but come on, we can probably say Horizons has the right to call dibs on loosely promoting ZA with this cube in this game. But at this point, I'm running out of thoughts here, and I don't want to unnecessarily yap more than I need to. Without spoiling, I heard the next episode ain't gonna be major, but they are gonna cook something crazy. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for now. Yep.
Do it now!